Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have officially hit rock bottom, and it's getting uglier by the day. There's rich, and then there's acting rich while the bank account's crying. And y'all, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they're looking like the poster couple for that second one. Because behind all the designer wardrobes, the luxury Montecito mansion, and those splashy Netflix interviews, the financial cracks are showing. And baby, they're deep. Let's start with Meghan's so-called lifestyle empire, American Riviera Orchard. Or as the internet now calls it, American Riviera or what? Because, honey, it disappeared faster than you can say limited drop. She made a huge fuss about this thing, dropped a cinematic promo like she was launching the next Goop, teased a glossy product line, and then crickets. No relaunch, no restocks, nada. Word is, she's not touching it again until maybe next year. I F that. And let's be real, that's not a pause. That's a full-on business ghosting. Why? Because reportedly, her so-called sold-out products were only stocked with a few hundred units to begin with. And the jam jars? Gone in 45 minutes, but don't be fooled. There were barely any to sell in the first place. It's the kind of smoke and mirrors marketing you pull when you're desperate to turn a flop into fake buzz.
She is hoping that she's going to become a billionaire off all of this.
According to the ever-spicy Lady Colin Campbell, royal tea spiller extraordinaire, Meghan and Harry completely overestimated what they could deliver and wildly underestimated how expensive this kind of brand building really is. The plan? Allegedly, Meghan wanted Netflix to fund the entire production under the guise of their existing content deal. Basically, she thought she could slap her name on a jar and have Netflix foot the bill. But Netflix? Oh, they were not playing that game. Insiders say they only paid for a tiny test batch, just enough to cover that so-called launch. That's why it sold out so fast. There was practically nothing there. And now, Meghan's reportedly pulled the plug because, surprise, surprise, it wasn't making her any real money. But that's just the start of this royal disaster. Behind the scenes, Meghan and Harry have been spending like Jeff Bezos, but earning like, well, barely more than your average influencer. And Harry? Even with that juicy advance from his memoir Spare, he's not rolling in the dough like people think. The book made headlines, sure, but sales weren't exactly history-making. Rumor has it, Penguin Random House had to eat the losses to save face. Yeah, Harry got paid, but it wasn't billionaire books, not even close. And don't forget, this couple's lifestyle is expensive. We're talking private security teams, jet setting, a full-time staff, PR reps, stylists, luxury homes on both coasts. And when the big checks start drying up, that lifestyle turns into a money pit, which is exactly what insiders say is happening now. Gone, just to keep up appearances. Lady C says this has been going on for a while now, quiet withdrawals just to cover the basics. Because here's the tea, Harry never had some bottomless royal trust fund. People picture him sitting on a literal pile of gold just because he's King Charles' son. But by American celeb standards, he's not that rich. And if they weren't banking on royal drama, they'd be labeled as financially reckless. Straight up. And what does Meghan do when her jam jars flop? She pivots to fashion. Yep, she's reportedly eyeing a fashion line now, but insiders are already clutching their pearls. Because launching a fashion label, it's not just snapping a few selfies and calling it a brand. It's expensive. Think production, marketing, shipping, licensing, and unless you've got tens of millions to burn or a major label backing you, good luck. Just ask Victoria Beckham. She had David Beckham's money propping her up for years before she saw even a hint of profit. Meghan's name might have buzz, but name recognition isn't enough when the trust is gone. People saw how she treated the royal family, how she threw shade at the Queen, Prince Philip, even her own father. For a lot of folks, that was the final straw. So now, cue the desperate PR stunts. Let's talk about that viral American Airlines flight TikTok. A bubbly flight attendant uploads a video claiming she served Meghan Markle mid-flight. She's gushing, says Meghan gave her a sweet little handwritten note, admired her nails, had rich girl handwriting. The whole thing is suspiciously perfect. And boom, the internet eats it up. But behind the scenes, red flags everywhere. Airline crew members are strictly banned from posting about celebrity passengers, especially when personal notes are involved. That video should have triggered an instant takedown. But guess what? Crickets. No official statement, no reprimand, just vibes, which is why so many are convinced the whole thing was staged. And the timing? Messy. That clip dropped just as new rumors were bubbling up about Meghan allegedly treating flight crew shrews in the past with entitlement and attitude. What better way to counter that bad buzz than with a bubbly flight attendant calling her sweet and thoughtful? Classic PR strategy. Drown out the hate with a heartwarming distraction. But distractions can't hide debt. And that fashion pivot Meghan's planning is not just risky, it's borderline delusional. Because unlike Rihanna or even Victoria Beckham, Meghan doesn't have a clear fashion identity. She's not a designer. And insiders say she tried to muscle her way onto a Vogue cover, allegedly demanding a solo global feature. Not just for herself, but apparently trying to push Serena Williams, her only loyal A-list friend, off the cover. If that's true, wow, that is cold. And it backfired hard. And let's talk about those expenses, because they aren't just a little high, they're astronomical. Private security that runs into the millions annually, multi-million-dollar real estate upkeep, travel, stylists, publicists, lawyers, advisors, and let's not forget the endless legal battles with British tabloids that show no signs of slowing down. That kind of lifestyle requires hundreds of millions to sustain, and according to insiders, they don't even have a tenth of that left. Let that sink in. Every month, they're bleeding cash, and no one's coming to the rescue this time. And now we're seeing the desperation. Sources close to their inner circle say Meghan and Harry are in full-on panic behind the curated Instagram smiles and dreamy California glow. It's chaos, rapid brand pivots, forced PR stunts, and that undeniable vibe of just keep swimming energy that screams, we don't know what to do next. Even the press seems to be catching on. What was once a flood of glowing Meghan coverage has turned into a sea of eye rolls and sighs. Every new announcement feels rushed, like a last-ditch attempt to grab headlines. And the public, they've stopped caring. The sympathy they once had has turned into exhaustion. Lady Colin Campbell didn't mince words. She came right out and said it. Meghan is toast. That's not a catty jab. That's a chilling truth in the cutthroat world of fame. Because when you lose the audience, when people stop believing in your story, your brand becomes radioactive. And it's not just her. Harry's been dragged into this spiral too. His public image has taken hit after hit. What was once a charming, rebellious royal turned into a moody, overexposed tabloid figure. And that Netflix docuseries, the one that was supposed to reshape their narrative, it barely made a ripple. People were bored before episode 3. The irony of it all, they had the world's sympathy. When they walked away from the palace, the spotlight was theirs for the taking. They could have gone quiet, built something slowly, earned credibility the right way. Instead, they shot for superstardom overnight. No groundwork, no patience, just bold declarations, book deals, lawsuits, and branding disasters. And now, they're trying to hold the whole illusion together with duct tape and desperation. It's not about Meghan versus the royals anymore, it's about survival. Real financial survival. Forget the glam, forget the palace drama. This is about whether they can even afford to stay in Montecito by this time next year. Because when you're depending on royalties from a discounted memoir, a flopped jam jar brand, and a fashion line that may never launch, that's not a business empire. That's a ticking time bomb, and it's already halfway exploded. Industry insiders say Meghan is still trying to lock in something, anything. A podcast reboot, another book, a fashion capsule. But every time she shows up to a meeting, the elephant in the room is there with her. What's the ROI? What's the upside for anyone who works with her? And the worst part, she's running out of favors. Hollywood is savage. 1 flop, they'll forgive. 2, maybe, but 3, 4, 5 failed launches, and you're done. The calls stop, the meetings vanish, and suddenly all those people who once called you trailblazing are calling you bad for business. That's where Meghan is now. And Harry? He's caught in the storm. Rumor has it he's started to privately question their next steps, that maybe, just maybe, they've gone too far chasing the fame dragon. Some insiders claim he's even considering making amends with the royal family, not for love, not for forgiveness, but for stability, because at the end of the day, he's still a prince. And if the empire they tried to build in America collapses, the palace might be the only roof left. But let's not pretend that reunion would be easy. King Charles isn't budging, William not interested, and the British public still bitter. It's not just about making peace. It's about swallowing pride and facing the humiliation of everything that's happened since Megxit. So now we're watching it all unfold in real time. Every Instagram post, every forced red carpet smile, every desperate headline. It's like watching a once promising show struggle through its final season, trying to hold on to viewers who've already changed the channel. And the scariest part? There's no clear path out. There's no guaranteed next deal. No billionaire investor waiting in the wings. No guaranteed Vogue cover or streaming hit. Just a mountain of expenses and a brand reputation that's been battered beyond recognition. In some ways, it's tragic. They had the chance to rewrite history, to build something powerful, to stand as symbols of independence and purpose, but instead it's become a cautionary tale, one about what happens when you confuse attention for success, when you think headlines equal power, when you believe your own hype. And now, Meghan and Harry are living with the fallout. An empty orchard. Once upon a time, they had it all. Now, they're fighting to stay relevant. Will they pull off a miracle rebrand? Maybe. Stranger things have happened. But unless something massive changes, and fast, they may just go down as the biggest failed power couple experiment Hollywood's ever seen. Because in the end, fairy tales only work if you know how to write the ending. And for Meghan and Harry, this one is starting to feel like a tragedy.